Now, without further ado, I get to introduce you to some of the team behind Extraordinary. Please join me in welcoming creator Emma Moran. Congratulations. We also have star Máiréad Tyers. Hello, hello, congratulations. And star Sofia Oxenham. Hello, hello, congratulations. There's a mic on your seat. Did someone grab a mic? Who does not have one?
I'll grab one, thank you.
All right, that's all for you. Congratulations. So good again. Also, I find it really funny that I'm doing this Q&A and I have bangs. I'm not insulted though, because I grew up with a really terrible fear of exactly what you warn people against in this show, and it's cutting your own bangs. Never do it. Never do it.
See, you have nice bangs, whereas
I mean, they're a little long now because I'm afraid to trim them myself. I have to wait until I go to like my specific person to have them cut perfectly the way I want. Otherwise, I might end up in that situation.
Yeah, don't want that.
Emma, you're getting my first questions here about the writing and development process. You'll all pick up on this really quickly. I like asking compound questions. What was the core concept that started this whole idea for you? But then I also want to know if you had a break story moment, something that you came up with along the way that made you realize, like, yes, this idea is special and full.
Right, yeah. I guess weirdly the core concept was just like a sitcom. Like I just wanted to write like 4 friends, mid-20s, absolute fuck-ups, don't know what they're doing. And I kept trying to write that, and I was like, "Oh, I've seen this. It's funny, but like, you know, I've seen it." And then I was just whacking genre on it, and I got to superhero stuff, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, this makes total sense. This is like a genre about like being the best and like having a purpose and like a mission, and then to pair that with like 4 people who don't know what they're doing, are kind of losers. It just felt like." Apologies. You play it so well. That just felt like a really natural marriage. So that was the moment where I was like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. And then after that, I just kind of ran.
So digging into the superhero aspect of it all, can you tell us something from superhero movies and shows you had seen that you kind of wanted to embrace and honor, but then also another quality of those shows and films that you were especially excited to skewer in the show?
Oh, I just like the campness of superhero stuff, like the costumes, like the catchphrases, just like the really kind of bright, loud, and like quite like graspable story of that, of like, I've got a mission, I'm gonna do it, but translating it to like everyday domestic stuff. And I think what was really fun to like skewer, I think, with Cash particularly, was that just kind of like very like boy, like masculine, sort of like, I'm going to save everyone. I'm going to be the one that does it. And having this idea of like pursuing greatness at like the expense of everything else. So he's sort of like, I'm going to neglect my girlfriend. I'm going to like not make friends. I'm just going to like go after the glory. So like that was the aspect that I liked going after. Because really life's just about having fun with your friends, and everything else is just kind of noise. So basically that, yeah.
My heart for poor Cash
Yeah,
in that episode we just watched too. Just for fun, for all 3 of you, can you name something precious to you that you've held on to for a really long time and refused to throw away?
Mine's really embarrassing.
I mean, is it more embarrassing than that?
Well, I still have a teddy that I sleep with all the time.
Oh, but that's really sweet.
I'm a bit too old for it.
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people did.
And he's also so dirty, like filthy and really gross. Like he looks like not good. He used to be multicolored and now he literally has no color to him.
Does he have a name?
You know what? He doesn't even have a name. He's only got one eye though, because I think when I was younger, I like threw it at a banister.
Okay.
So now he's lost an eye as well.
I feel like there's a lot of people out there who are going to relate to all of this.
Yeah, that's mine. That's mine.
I feel like maybe like something, I don't know if it's precious, but just like socks, a pair of socks that like maybe had some sort of lucky value at one stage, and now I've just held on to them. But I remember my boyfriend saying at one point, he was like, you're in a Disney show, you can throw out your holy socks. Like, get a new pair of socks. Like, the socks cost literally less than £1. So yeah, precious
I bet
socks.
for you, Emma.
I throw away I am like the least sentimental. Like,
That's
I
your
get
superpower.
Yeah, I just don't give a shit. Like, I get like a birthday card from my parents every year on my birthday. I throw it away the next day.
This is being recorded. They're going to see that
I know.
now.
Mandy and Derek can watch.
We're not getting one next year.
I have a gross example for you.
Yeah, what's yours?
I broke my thumb when I was in middle school and had a cast. And you know how everyone signs the cast? When I got it cut off, I kept it. I swear to God, I threw it away a couple months ago, but I kept it.
Did it smell?
No.
No, okay.
I'm like OCD, neat and clean, so maybe that's part of the reason why, but it's still like weird to keep something that was on your hand for 2 months. It's just like weird. All right. Back to serious stuff now. For the two of you, when you first sign on for the show and get these characters, what quality of theirs were you most looking forward to playing? But then I also want to know a quality you found along the way that wound up being more creatively fulfilling to play with than you ever could have imagined at the start.
God, that's a good question.
I feel like the thing I was most excited to do was just like receive more scripts and just find the one-liners that Emma writes so well. And it's like it feels very instinctual when you read like a script as good as it and that has one-liners, comedic one-liners that are as well written as the ones that Emma like writes, because it's almost like an instinctual thing of like, oh, I know how to say that, and it's really satisfying. And then when you're on set and obviously finding the different ways to say that. In terms of like fun things, like a surprise, I guess like I just loved like throughout the first season, particularly like that relationship, and particularly in that episode, like when Jen finally realizes what's good for her, what she wants. I think she makes so many decisions based on what other people think around her, or based on what, you know, she doesn't really think things through very well. And then in that moment when she realizes, when she's talking to Luke, you're not good for me. And I love that bit when she goes, nah, I'm good. It's just like, sorry, that sounds so narcissistic. I love that bit when she goes, it's me doing it. But I mean, I just think I remember loving that moment.
You should be proud of your work. I'll bring up another question about that later that everyone knows. I'm definitely going to add that now.
I think something that I was really excited for was the channeling, because it gave me like a chance to play characters that I would never get cast as, or kind of, be able to be like Hitler or Charles II or like a country and western 50-year-old man singer. So I was really excited for the challenge of that. And then I think, especially in the second season, all the characters go through such a growth and such a change, and there's such a different element to them all. That was something I was a bit nervous to explore, but also really excited. And I think that's down to Emma's writing. And there's such a growth, and they all go on these kind of crazy journeys. So yeah, that was something I was really excited about in the second.
The channeling scenes are so impressive. I'm definitely going to get to a couple of those, but a couple of, I guess, like broader questions about the ensemble, because you're all phenomenal together in the show. And I always do my homework for these. And that means going and watching every single interview you've all done together. And it's just like, it seems like a special group of people who work really well in front of and behind the lens too, where you all genuinely like each other. First, a question for the two of you. Do you remember meeting for the first time and maybe the first thing you saw in the other that signaled to you, this is going to be a good scene partner and collaborator for me?
I actually do. Can I tell a story?
Yeah. Oh, please.
Okay. Just checking. I actually do, because we had a chemistry read, and Máiréad had already been cast at this point.
Yeah.
And it was me and Bilal, a chemistry reading with Máiréad, and she came in and she was a little bit late and she was holding a Pret coffee. Yeah. And she was like, guys, I'm so sorry. I've got the worst sweat patches ever. I'm so sorry. And she just made us immediately feel like at ease and relaxed. And I was just like, this girl's awesome. And I felt like...
That's what I try to do with my sweat patches. It's just to try
put
and
them
make
on.
everyone else calm.
Yeah, I think it was that.
I think I like, because I remember the first time that was the first time we met, sorry. But I remember specifically before the read through, Fia messaged me being like, oh, should we get a coffee beforehand or just like meet beforehand so we can walk in together? And I feel like that means so much, because I mean, I'd never done a read through before. Like the idea of walking into a room like that can be so daunting and pressurizing. To have like each other walking in together like made all the difference.
And we still do it to this day.
I mean, I kind of don't blame you. You bringing that example up, it's like whenever you go to a party with new people or a lot of people you don't know, at least, it's always nice to have someone to walk in with. That's really touching. I love that. To open it up to more of the ensemble now, something that always wows me with comedy is how, when you're an actor, you can't hold back in the least, and that can be really scary and nerve-wracking. So can you each recall a time when you watched a co-star like go above and beyond, swing big, and it inspired you to be more fearless with your performance?
I've got one straight away. When Carrie channels the country and western singer, like we were standing watching that. That's in the first season. We were standing watching that from like the recording. Like she was in this massive, amazing recording booth, and we were standing watching it from like where they do all the. I don't know anything about this stuff. What? Do the buttons, press the buttons, and you just started improving, and the improv that was coming out of you was just incredible. It was like some sort of fountain of just like fearlessness, and I think it like improv is a hard thing, like, and it to get to a place of feeling completely free, especially in a room of like loads of crew, and it can be stressful at times for you to like you just were going on it, and it felt so fearless. And I remember watching that going, I wanted like if I could have an ounce of that, I would be like over the moon. Yeah, it was so good. So good.
Really nice answer.
I would say like Máiréad and Jen is obviously like the heart of this show. So every day on set, the stuff that Máiréad does has to kind of root it in truth and reality. And she brings that every day. And especially in the second season, there's quite a lot of emotional work that she does. I don't think I can say any more than that. But yeah, a lot of high emotions and high stakes. And genuinely every single day on set, she brings it. And I'm just sat there watching it being like, oh my God, blown away to be working with someone that is so talented and so kind.
I would believe that.
Yeah.
I've cheated a little. I've seen 2 episodes of season 2, and I could see it tipping in that direction, and I like it. Emma, for you now, because they were just bringing up improvising, to let you give someone in the ensemble some flowers, can you give us an example of a time when someone took the words you wrote and just like took them to another level where it made you realize something you wrote was more powerful than you ever thought it was?
Oh man, I think like just any delivery that Luke as Jizzlord does, because I write it to be like English, and it just comes out of his mouth in like the weirdest configuration of like stresses and consonants. And I watch it back being like, I don't know if I even wrote that. But yeah, no, I think there's like really nice, I love watching the edit because I see just like these little sort of improvised moments between like you and Sophia, where it's just like really nice, just little snippets of a friendship. Like you just see these little moments where you're like hugging or just like jumping for joy a little bit. There's a great moment in, I think, episode 7 where you both just like look at each other and then salute Jizzlord like as a like a unit. And it's just, I think it's those little moments that kind of, and make it really feel like it's like a little friendship group you're watching. Because I can write sort of dynamics on a page, but it's that chemistry that kind of like glues it together.
I feel like I'm going to regret asking this question, but you called the character Jizzlord, so I feel like this question is fair. Did you ever come up with any alt names for that character?
Oh my God, no, it was always that.
Okay.
I think it was like, I think I came up with that before I came up with like the regular character names. I think Jen was really late in the game. I was like, gotta call her something, Jesus.
I'm just curious to see how
name.
quickly we could get this video flagged on YouTube.
Yeah, we've had great joy in finding out what the different translations of Jizzlord is in different languages. It is
They're amazing.
Mental.
Yeah. What's the French one again?
French is ejaculateur.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is brilliant.
I think I've got a friend in Norway and he sent me like, oh, by the way, in Norway, it's called like Seed Lord. But there's just like a little umlaut above the E. It's just like, yeah.
I guess we know what I'm going to be Googling later. Speaking of alt, Emma, I'm curious about your process with picking the powers for the characters. Can you kind of walk us through that process? And were there any particular reasons why certain characters got certain powers?
I mean, I just have like a master document of just, if it comes to me of a day, I'll just note it down if it's funny. So there's like quite a lot that I haven't actually used yet that I keep trying to like get into the show. But we try to, it's a kind of a light satire. So we try to like pair powers with what might like enlighten a bit of character for someone. So like with Carrie, I'm very sorry, but you're a bit of a pushover and you don't really know who you are. So the fact that other people kind of speak through you kind of speaks to that. And Cash is just irresponsible and not very mature. So he can just undo mistakes. So he never has to learn from them. So I think for like main characters we want to do storylines with, we try to give them something that's going to like really, I guess, challenge their character and make them grow. And then other people, I'm just like, it would be very funny if you could just make someone jizz their pants. So I'm like, I'll put that in. Okay, so the throwaway ones are just freebies. They're just quite fun.
Fair enough. Máiréad, I'll put you on the spot creatively right now. If Jen could pick the power she was going to get, what would she choose? But then also, can you tell me what power she would benefit the most from having?
Oh, so good. I feel like immediately she would want like to be able to fly, because that's like the hot power. Like that's the one that gives you a status in the world. So I think she would want to be able to fly. But I don't, again, it's just in classic Jen style, I don't think she'd be very good at it. And then what was the other one? If
what she would benefit from. What she would learn from.
I wonder if it was something kind of like Ian's power, her stepdad, who he can like empathize. He empathizes too much with people, and like he has an ability to like empathize or like soak up people's feelings. And I think maybe Jen could benefit from being a little less self-absorbed, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. I'll throw a question about powers to all three of you now. Let's say you had to have a power. Of all the powers that we've already seen in the show, which one would you want most? But then I also want to know the one you would least want. Like, you just rather not have a power at all than get stuck with that power.
Oh, I think I would like the turning back time one, just for like everyday interactions. Like when you say like, yeah, you too, when a waiter says like, enjoy your meal. Like just little stuff like that. I don't know what, I think I would take any of them. I wouldn't like to, I don't know if we've seen it, but like I would hate mind reading because I don't want to know what everyone's. No. Yeah.
Also Gordon's. I don't know if I'd want Gordon's.
No, definitely not. No.
No, I take it.
Really?
Why not? Yeah, get like a fun glove collection. It'd be great.
I'm trying to think.
Which is the character that like poops stuff out? I'd rather not have that one.
Yeah, no.
I'd rather not have that one.
The phasing through walls would be fun, that Ade has. Or the super speed as well.
Oh, yes.
Magnet girl, that's a bit, you wouldn't really want to have all the, be a magnet. This isn't very efficient, is it?
Teleporting would be good.
Yeah. That's a good one. Let's get into playing your character now, Sofia. The power specifically. It's like, feels like one of the most unique acting challenges. So can you tell me a little bit about how your prep process might differ when she's channeling something versus when you're playing any other scene in the show?
We basically, I have a Zoom call with the actor who will be doing the voiceover for it. And I will basically watch them physically, watch how they speak, and then basically find someone that I think might represent them on YouTube, and then study their physicality, the way they move, the way they speak. And then basically when we're filming, I do the voice and the physicality, and then they come in post and re-record over my lines, matching kind of what I do. But a lot of it's just from like watching and observing kind of the different mannerisms, the different way they move. I usually start with the people I'm channeling quite a lot physically and then take it from there. Because it kind of feels like that's quite a good way in. So I try and make them as physically different to Carrie as possible so I don't get kind of confused.
I love how clearly you were just able to break that down. And that process is perfect. I'm always so impressed by how spot on that seems. Specifically now I need to know about doing the scenes when you're channeling Charles II and you're essentially acting with yourself. I am curious, I believe episode 7, season 1, and Jennifer directed that one. Yeah. What are some things that she's able to do for you as an actor's director that helps you do an entire scene with yourself?
That one was quite weird because I was like I was actually flirting in the mirror with myself, which I felt was like a really strange experience. But she really helped by explaining exactly how it was going to be edited and shot. And so she said she used the Gollum reference, which really helped me because then I could be clear in thinking which one I was. And then also we had a recording of Julian, who plays King Charles, a recording of him so I could listen a bit to his intonation to then keep that clear. But she also just like allowed me to kind of go with it, have a lot of takes, have a lot of time until she felt that we'd got it, which I guess makes you feel kind of at ease and like you can take the time to kind of mess up. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's the best. So good. That's a perfect environment to have on set. Before we get into the first episode of season 2, a couple broader questions about season 1. I always love hearing about the unexpected magic that you can find on set. So can you all recall one scene that maybe changed the most from script to screen because of something that came up on the spot?
I was never on set very much. So that's more for you guys, I think.
I mean, there was the day, the scene in episode 8 where we're sitting back to back. That wasn't, it didn't necessarily change from script to shooting, but it was a tough scene to do because we were back to back, and basically one of the sound guys had heard that there was a reflection of the boom in one of the pictures, and he said, and it was one of the pictures of me that was on the wall of me as a little girl, and he said, okay, so we've got a picture of a little boy that's causing reflections, and I just went, that's me. So then we were back to back with each other, so anytime we felt either of us giggling, we just kept laughing. We couldn't stop laughing. But from script to, I'm trying to, it's funny, like we stuff obviously gets cut out and it takes me ages to realise it. Like I watch it and then I go, there was that line about 2 years ago that we shot and it never made it. But I'm struggling to think of one.
That's the best thing in the world, though, when you can have the experience of doing everything on set and then you don't even realize, because even though you're in the show, you're so engrossed in the final edit. That's the coolest thing ever.
And it's a thing of like Emma's scripts are so tight that like there was no such thing as reshoots. Like we never reshot any scene, I don't think.
I don't think so.
And
There's
like
stuff that gets bigger. Like there's some, like I think the big dance scene in episode 7.
Yes.
I think I just wrote they dance. And then some beautiful person got a routine together. So there's stuff that I'm surprised to see because I'm quite lazy when I write a script.
I'll jump into asking about dancing, because that'll take us quite nicely from season 1 to season 2. For that particular dance in season 1, how detailed was the scripting there? Was it a specific style that you knew you wanted them to do? Was it something that was properly choreographed after the fact? How did that come to be?
Oh, I just wrote they dance to this song.
Fair enough.
I think I wrote just sort of coming over her shoulder and like the sort of romantic moments, like the romantic beats. But I was like, I'm not a choreographer. I'm not going to try to write left, right, up, down. Like that's not going to go very well. Yeah, leave it to the experts.
Okay, so Máiréad, can you take it from there? What happens next?
We had 2 choreographers who were amazing and they came in, showed us what to do. We had the best time ever, as you can imagine, like choreographing that and like learning it together. Took a few goes for the lift to happen, but we got there. But yeah, it was so much fun. We loved doing that. And then we liked shooting. It was the best thing ever. Like, it was so much fun.
Was it a similar process for the opening of season 2? Like, was it scripted that way and then the choreographer came in?
I think so, yeah. I think once again, I'm the worst writer in the world. I'm just realizing. They dance. You make it up.
Yeah, it must have been. I think it was just... And I love the way it starts because I think it's such like a bold opening to like a second season, and it was lovely to kind of add in the different. I mean, I think like if you told Jen at the start of season 1 that she'd be dancing at the start of season 2, well, she doesn't really know she's in a season, does she? But anyway, like she'd be, I think she'd be like, oh, what? Like I don't dance, and then 2 weeks later she's done 2 dances.
So we've got 2 dances at this point. The next request has to be, can we have a musical episode of this show?
Wow. Funny you say that. That's not a spoiler. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
This series.
Yeah, there's I mean, it's not like a full musical Buffy episode, but there will be there'll be some musical theatre. I think
really
you can
cool.
guess the character that's going to do it as well.
You just made I feel like I could just end it here and go home and be happy. I have many other questions though. I'm so excited. That's like the best tease ever. Emma, a very specific question about the coach character that Jen meets at the clinic, because I found it interesting that a lot of what we've seen at the clinic is very, unwelcoming and cold. And then all of a sudden the coach steps in and he's very like patient and warm and understanding. Did you know that that character had to have those qualities, or did you ever toy with the idea of making him like everybody else from the clinic?
Oh, no, I always kind of thought it should be, because I think you could have went down a route with the clinic where it is quite, in like a very superhero way, it's all about like a secret chemical or like a machine. But I like the idea that it was kind of diving more into like Jen's psychology. And if she's not getting a power, it's probably something internal that's holding her back. But yeah, I really liked having, because Jen, it's such a hostile world for her. So it's nice to give her a character that she can take this kind of like slightly vulnerable journey with. And I think it's always interesting to, and as the season develops, this might develop, like give her a character that's quite similar to the relationship he has with her dad. Because that, I think, is something that maybe needs to be challenged a little bit in a new season. And just seeing Jen with that kind of slightly paternal figure was a really fun sort of thing to write like throughout the season.
Definitely has that feeling. Like when he first popped up on screen and I realized what kind of person he was, I'm like, thank God. I needed that for her. Getting into the mind space aspect. I love theory and lore and like building worlds and all this stuff. Do you imagine that everybody has like a mind space like that, but to varying degrees of messiness, I guess?
Yeah, well, I think this comes up a bit later in the season as well, that like everyone's mind space is like completely unique to them. So there's like a really boring man who's his client that's like, his head is just like the exact replica set of like a car show, like TV show, or like a game show. Like everyone's sort of got their own, you could tell exactly, if you went to say Carrie's mind, it would be, you could tell it's Carrie immediately. So we wanted a space that felt like Jen, where it's quite messy and unorganized, but quite like characterful, and like you can kind of see her in it. And that was a really, really fun, and we're like talking with the art department quite a lot on that, and sort of, I think we used like 25,000 books or something for that set. It was like magical to walk through. It was fantastic.
That
kind of
incredible.
Evolves and grows. It's like a moving set as well, some pieces. So it kind of evolves and grows with the season and with Jen's journey. So it was as like a set nerd, it was fantastic.
Oh, that's so cool. I don't want to ask for spoilers, but at the very least, I'll ask for Easter eggs. I guess, Emma and Marie, this will be for you. Are there any little Easter eggs that you really appreciated that people should keep an eye out for when they get the opportunity to watch the episode again?
The level of work that like the art department went into and the detail that they went into was like incredible. Like a lot of the books, like I think there was one there that said like pubs that don't ask for ID, or like chip shops that give you free chips sometimes. Like there's like random like kind of books that they put together. And not only did they make the books, which like, you know, hopefully you might get to see the titles of, they had written like blurbs on the back and like in such detail. And it felt so, I get like rewarding, but also when you feel the level of commitment, you know, obviously we're all working hard every day and everyone on the crew is working hard every day. And when you see little things like that, you're like, oh my God, we are all invested in the same, like we all have the same level of dedication to this. And you care about the characters as much as we do, even though, it was amazing. So there's loads of, I would recommend pausing it and just having a little look.
Yeah,
it's quite fun.
Definitely pause and look at like book spines. I remember I saw one that was just like, I don't think it's even on screen ever, but it was just like it looked like kind of book you get in like a children's therapist office. And it was just like My Trauma by Jen Regan. And they'd obviously find like just like ginger child into Getty Images and slap that on the cover. It was great. Yeah.
Good Dogs I've seen really spoke to me. I feel like everybody's mind space library needs that. As long as you have that, you are going to be okay. I had another theory question that I skipped over. So again, I do my homework and I went down the Reddit rabbit hole, and people have theories about everything. The one that really caught my eye was people were theorizing what the spirits that Carrie channels do when she's not channeling them. Have you ever put much thought into that? Like this person specifically said, like, what is it? Like they're taking a nap, they get the call, and then they go back to bed. And then I started to picture like Beetlejuice, where they're all just sitting there waiting for their number to be called.
Yeah, I guess like I think I wrote a line that I cut was just like an exchange between Carrie and Cash, where he's like, "Oh, does it mean like, did you just confirm the existence of God?" Carrie's like, "I think I did. Yeah." I was like, "Oh well." Yeah, I always thought it was kind of like they don't exist unless Carrie's like channeling them. So they just kind of like, because I think a lot of the time when you channel them, they're quite confused, right? They're just
Yeah.
like, where am I? So it must be horrible to like become alive again and then immediately die again. In a way, like, that's absolutely horrific. I haven't thought about it that deeply. I think I might have written a horror movie, actually.
That's the companion series to this. This is like fun and everything, and that one's just like absolutely miserable. So if
Yeah,
you want a
horrible.
good cry, you go watch that after. To tee up the rest of the season a little for all of you, Emma, I'll throw the first question on that to you. Can you tell us another element of superhero storytelling that you'll introduce that was especially fun to explore this time around that you didn't last season?
Oh gosh, I don't know if there. I guess like origin stories, because it's kind of Jen's sort of slight digging into herself and origins, and I don't think Cash has fully left the superhero train yet. So I think he's trying to sort of mythologize himself and his previous exploits because he's not quite ready to let them go. So yeah, I think it's kind of that's tangential, but I think we're sort of digging more into character. So I feel like that's slightly it. But I feel like this season was more, I kind of enjoyed stepping away from like the one-to-one parody and just kind of really getting into good flat share sitcom character dynamics a little bit. And there's less funny superhero costumes this year. No, wait, there's some good ones.
Yeah, later on.
There's some heinous ones. They're great. Yeah.
Good teases. I like this. All right, for the two of you now, can you tease a new quality that they get later in the season that would make season one you go like, I can't believe I get to do that with this character one day? This is so hard while avoiding spoilers. I apologize, but people want to know everything, myself included.
I think like Jen begins to question how one-sided the relationship may be with her and Carrie, and maybe how dependent she is on her, which I think then also allows Carrie to kind of grow in her own independence, and I think that was something that I was wanting her to kind of realise, because it's quite obvious, but I think like Jen, they kind of enable each other to have that kind of relationship. So then once that's questioned, I think they both like grow and kind of changes people.
That's like half of her mind space library. Like there's books about Carrie in there, and it was like the times that Carrie cleaned my room or something. Yeah. How about for you, Sophia?
Carrie kind of, I think I can say this, yeah. She starts to explore herself as like a more sexual person. That's okay to say, right? Kind of. Yeah. Which I maybe wouldn't imagine from the first series, because she explores that in quite a intense way. Yeah.
Okay. All teases I'll take. All right. I'm gonna end with one fun question, and then I'm gonna ask my favorite last question to ask. First, for the two of you, I'll phrase it differently for everybody. If you had the opportunity to act in a scene with a Marvel or DC superhero, who would you choose, and how do you think the conversation between them and your characters on this show would go? And then something similar for you, Emma. If you got the opportunity to write a scene between one of your characters and an iconic superhero, who would you choose and why?
You guys go first.
That's a good question.
You're really testing my Marvel DC knowledge here.
I'll give you a little time, because one of the first examples I thought of was all I want to see is Jizzlord and Rocket Raccoon have a conversation.
I would like Jizzlord in like a really serious, like Superman, but like Superman that's like, we got to save the city. And he's like, what's a city? Like, just really like holding him up from like doing what he needs to do. And just like, he'd be a great psych. He'd be a great Robin to a Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys don't know superhero movies.
No, we don't.
I'm sorry. That's what the problem is here.
Is Lois Lane a superhero?
She counts? Yeah,
Does she count?
Yeah, she counts.
I think Carrie would like to have a conversation with her.
Hey.
Does she not
Does it
count?
count?
Does she not count? I think Carrie would like to have a conversation with her. And just she'd be like, oh my God, you're the coolest woman ever.
I would believe that.
Tell me how you do what you do, sister.
That works.
Maybe Jen would be like, is Catwoman involved in that? No.
You could pick Catwoman.
Catwoman. I think Jen maybe would just be a bit interested in Catwoman. And it's a cat. She likes cats. She likes cats. Is that enough of a reason?
Totally fair answer right there. All right. I wasn't even going to end with this, but then Máiréad, one of your answers made me have to ask this. It's one of my favorite questions to ask lately because this is an industry where people give each other awards, and that is wonderful. But I find that no one says good job to themselves nearly enough. So can you tell us about something you did in season 1 or maybe the first episode of season 2 that you can look back on and say to yourself, I am proud of what I did there?
That's so hard.
I wasn't gonna do it, but then you brought up a moment you were proud of, and I had to.
Do you know what? There was it's the last shot of the whole first season, and it's so the last shot is me lying in bed, and Carrie's toes are next to me, and it was so that like they had actually called cut by that point. And Fia like tickling her toes was completely just us. Like that was Máiréad and Fia like acting, and I think I get such joy when I watch like myself smile. It's pathetic, but it just like I just like because I know it's real. Yeah. I mean, you know, if you were to do that as Carrie, it would still feel real. But I think it feels like a perfect like kind of rounding of that whole series to know that was like a genuine thing that we did, a genuine moment. Yeah.
I love that. It was a beautiful answer.
I'm going to say, I think the fight in episode 5, when I look back to that day, because I think we have had so many like good moments together where it was all friendly and like giggly. And then that day we tried to go method and it lasted about 4 minutes.
We were like, okay, you sit on that side of the room. I'm going to sit on this side. We'll put our earphones in and just keep a bit separate.
And we stared at each other like this. And then we couldn't, and we just started
bored.
giggling. But I think getting through that and then getting through the fight, because that was kind of more of a challenging scene, and it was quite rushed on the day. We didn't have that long. Yeah. So I think when I look back to that moment, I'm proud of that. Yeah.
Another good example right there. All right, Emma, you can take us home. Yeah, I want to know something you did in season 1 or the first episode of season 2 that you're proud of.
This is really hard. I'm so Irish. I can't do
funny one-liners.
Yeah, maybe. I really do. I fell asleep a lot on set, so I'm not even proud of like. Yeah, I think.
What about when you were an extra on the set?
Oh, I was in episode 8.
Do you actually see her in the background?
Yeah, I know. No, I can't tell that. That's just me falling over. I can't. I know. I guess it was just a moment where I sort of saw these guys like interacting on set with each other, like sort of be in between takes. And I saw like what a little gang they become, and I was like, oh, I wrote that. Like, I mean, I you know, you sort of. It was just quite a proud moment where it was like, oh, I've created this little group that I hope people sort of feel like at home watching, and it was just very like real and like fleshy in that moment, and I was like, oh, I've done that. So that was like the one, and my parents came to set as well, which is always a very big like, daddy, look at me kind of moment.
And we got pizza that day, so I think they thought we were like really high budget.
Yeah.
Great answers all around, especially because it ends with pizza. Before I say something that sparks applause in the audience, I'm just going to let everybody know. Extraordinary Season 2 on March 6th in the States. It's on Hulu. Everywhere else, it's on Disney+. Spread the word. Tell everybody you know about this exceptional show. And now I will say, congratulations. Phenomenal. This show is one of the most bingeable shows I've watched recently. Just utterly delightful and so rewatchable too. So huge congratulations, and thank you for sharing your experience with us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.